Hey guys, welcome to the Nerd Morning Show. My name is Jeremy Miller, and today we are going to be talking about Batman Haunted Knight. This is not a new story, but it's one that I feel like has a lot of worthwhile things to talk about. So we're going to hit into that, but also new comics for this week, January 15th. Of course, like every Wednesday, new comics, and these are my top three favorites. I really, really love Ruby. I'm a huge fan of what Rooster Teeth does. This is issue number 4. There's 2 little stories in here, and I thought they were really, really great. Super fun stuff. Spider-Man, The Black Cat Strikes. This is another Gameverse story that takes place in the same universe as the Spider-Man PlayStation 4 game. And if you guys have played the DLCs, you've heard a little bit of this story between Spider-Man and Black Cat, but if you have, you're going to find that there's a ton in this story that you never got to see in the game. So if you were wanting to find out more about that story, which was an amazing little story arc, then this is an awesome choice. And if you've never played the game, you don't need to in order to be able to get what's going on in this story because they tell it so well. Anyways, big fan, really excited to see how that series continues. And then The Batman's Grave, issue number 4. I really like this series in part because they just trust the art so well. I think that there's a lot of like trying to have witty banter and stuff during fight sequences, and some of that stuff just doesn't let the scene just play. And here they do have dialogue, but it's only necessary dialogue. And there are many panels which are just panels that are just art and story being told in a visual way. And I feel like that's really, refreshing because I don't think a lot of comic artists and writers trust that they can tell their story sufficiently with the art, and this is such a visual medium that it's just a breath of fresh air. So big fan of all those things. Those are my top picks from the comics that came out on January 15th. In other news, I think there's 3 really exciting movies that are underway that either trailers have been released or new trailers that have been released that I was really excited about. Harley Quinn Birds of Prey film is just looking really, really awesome. I'm really excited to see that. That comes out next month, so that'll probably be my first one that I get to see. And I'm really excited for that. Other 2 that I feel like are noteworthy and exciting right now is Black Widow. I mean, come on, we've been waiting for this for like a decade. So this is just a great, great movie that we're all ready for and I think excited about. And I'm really excited to see how they'll tie in her story, her background, and tie that into the cinematic universe. And then finally, Sony's team up with Marvel, their story that they're going to be doing for Morbius. I am so excited. I think that Jared Leto is doing an awesome job from what I can see in the trailer, and I think that Morbius is super cool because vampires are cool. Can you say that still? Yeah, I think so. Anyways, that's just super fun stuff. There's a current series right now for Morbius, so if you're like, ooh, that's interesting, I don't really know that character very much, yeah, Marvel's got you covered that way. Anyways, all that stuff kind of put past, let's talk about Batman Haunted Knight. So this is from the team of Jeph Lobe, Tim Sale, and I love this duo. They had like The Long Halloween is one that's really, really well known that they did together. And they've done several pieces that are just really, really great. Jeph Lobe is probably best known in the comic world for his work as the writer for Batman Hush, which that one, the art was with Jim Lee, and that was just a dynamite piece. I love Jeph Lobe as a writer because he has really dynamic, exciting, powerful moments of action, but also slow, peaceful moments where he goes in and talks about the character and character development. And he, in this one, does a lot of different flashbacks of Bruce as a kid, and it kind of expands that out. This does 3 stories in this trade, and it is, I think, a really cool Halloween collection. So the first story is called Fears, and this story goes in and it talks about some conflict that Batman has versus Scarecrow. So there's a little bit of Scarecrow and Batman, and there is just some really good stuff because Batman has to fight some of his inner demons in this. And then we also have a new romantic interest in this story, and the relationship doesn't turn out how I think we really were anticipating. Also, I think what was interesting is inside of here between the Batman and Scarecrow conflict, we get a couple of lines that they actually used in the Batman Begins movie, which I thought was cool. There's the thing where it says, where he says Crane, and then Crane responds, Dr. Crane isn't in right now, but if you'd like to make an appointment. And I love how they pulled that line in to Batman Begins. It shows that they were pulling from source material, and I think that was just a really fun line how they used it in here, and obviously how they pulled that in with the Batman Begins film as well. And the second story in this book is called, let's pull that up again. There we go. Is called Madness. And this I thought was really interesting because it has a different origin for Barbara Gordon, Jim Gordon's daughter, as well as James Jr., because they're adopted. And I think that's just interesting because we've got Barbara named after Barbara and James named after Jim, and I don't know, being adopted and having that coincidence was a little strange for me. Also, I just like see them as being born of those two. But yeah, okay, being adopted was interesting. Inside of there, Barbara is upset because she wants to have freedom and she wants to go out and have fun on Halloween. And they have a fight because Jim is like, this isn't some little town, this is Gotham. You can't go out on Halloween, it's not safe. And Barbara is super upset, and she's like 12, 13 at this time, it looks like. Definitely not Batgirl yet. And she goes out and she's moping, and some guys with knives come at her, and she gets rescued. They get shot, and her rescuer was the Mad Hatter, who thinks that she would make a great Alice and gets kidnapped by him. So she's having this absolutely horrible, horrible evening. I love Mad Hatter because I enjoy Alice in Wonderland, and I actually read Lewis Carroll's Alice's Adventures in Wonderland like every year. I've done that for the last like 3 or 4 years. It's a fast read, it's interesting, and it's quirky. Anyways, and Jeph Lobe actually uses lines and stuff and refers to the source material really well. And there's this big conflict, of course, and she has to get rescued. The third story is called Ghosts. And this one was, I think, my favorite because it's a Christmas Carol, but instead of Christmas, it's Halloween, and instead of Scrooge, it's Batman. And it's like Bruce having to learn to be a little bit more human to celebrate Halloween. Like, I don't know, it was just like, it was kind of funny that way. It first shows his father as the ghost of like Halloween past. I don't know. And he is just not going for it, and is really upset that someone would try to pull this type of prank on him using his father. But he starts to kind of get that figured out. He later is visited by the spirit of poison ivy, And I don't know, this is like really kind of nonsensical because like we don't really know, is this a dream, is this a vision? We get this scene which I love of young Bruce being sad because his dad couldn't go out with him to go trick or treating, and he is running around in this Zorro costume, which I love because the movie that he's supposed to be going to with his family in when their parents get killed is the Mark of Zorro, and that's a old black and white film. I got to see it for film school, which was just super fun to look at it and study because I'm like, oh, this is really cool as a film in itself and its history, but it's such a huge piece inside of the Batman story, and he's this masked hero in black, and he becomes this masked hero in black, and I think the parallels there were very clever. Um, Later in on this, he gets visited by more ghosts. Um, he also, gets visited by the ghost of Joker, and gets shown and tormented and things like that a little bit. And then, of course, we get to see, the Bruce Wayne grave, kind of like Ebenezer gets to see in the Christmas Carol, and he's like, no, this can never happen like this. And he gets woken up and feels like, oh, I need to make some like human connections, and then he goes out and gives candy to trick-or-treaters, which I just thought was really, really cool. I think what is something that's a really noteworthy and important about this is just like Tim Sale's art is worthwhile all on its own. He has a lot of exaggerated forms. Shoulders are a little bit bigger, or face is a little bit more long, or like the Joker has too many teeth inside of his mouth. And so it's artistic, it's kind of impressionistic, and I don't know, it really resonates for me and the noir type flavor that Batman stories I think are supposed to have. And in the Batman stories that Jeph Lobe writes, they are a very noir type feel. These ones being Halloween stories are a little less solving a mystery than the Long Halloween, which was a big one that they did together, and like the huge mystery that was in Batman Hush. That was him uncovering a piece of the mystery, and these ones are more. They have mysteries and things for him to solve, but they're just more like Halloween stories. In this, I think there is just a lot of creative writing in how, in the first story, it's a story of Batman versus Scarecrow, but he also has this sub story of him in a romantic relationship, and seeing some of those aspects of Batman being vulnerable and feeling like I can never be happy and be Batman, which is something that Tom King in the series for Rebirth between issues 1 and 85, like that's something that he really explores a lot. And then it goes sour, and the reasons why, you can see how Batman feels like he can't be both Bruce Wayne and have a romance and be a normal person as well as be Batman. And in the second story, there's this exploration of Jim Gordon and trying to be a father and trying to be a cop. And I think that seeing some of those human sides of Jim were really, really awesome. And in there as well, we get some of the stories of Bruce growing up. There's a scene in there that I post on my Instagram. If you go through my photo review and swipe through, there's this piece where young Bruce is saying, hey, we're going out to the movies. Why don't you wear this necklace because it's really nice? And she's like, oh, no, that's for special occasions, and he's like, well, can't we make today special? And I just see that sweet, innocent child moment, and this mom who loves her son and was like, yeah, we can totally make this a special day. And of course, that's the precursor for it being Bruce's worst day. And the counterpoint between that happy human moment to this dramatic, tragic moment, it just really like resonates and builds out the mythos, because inside of something like Batman, you've got, years and years, way over 80 years of story that retell different moments, like the death of Thomas and Martha Wayne, and seeing moments that are before or after that help kind of flesh out that type of that scene, that moment, that experience, really expands the mythos. And I really like those types of things instead of just simply a retelling of the exact same moment. I am a huge fan of these guys. This was a beautiful book. It's probably one that you should be able to order in. I'm pretty sure they're still doing this in current print, so that's one that you could be able to get inside your comic shop if you guys request it, if they don't have it in their trade section. I was fortunate enough that the comic shop I go to had a couple of these in stock, so that was really, really great. Anyways, that's kind of my video review of Batman Haunted Knight. And I'm just really excited to be able to share that with you guys. If there's things that you guys would like me to do video reviews for, things that you guys want me to do discussions on, let me know. Also, I'm trying to be able to build these types of things on YouTube and trying to build up that channel. So if you guys are following me on Instagram, it'd be great for you guys to find me on YouTube and start following me there, because I'm going to be trying to post things like this there. And if you guys are finding me on YouTube, I do a lot of posts on Instagram, and I'm starting to build up some more posts on Twitter as well. And you guys can find me on all those places by searching Nerd Morning. And I hope you guys find a lot of enjoyment of this. If there's things that you guys want me to show, to discuss, let me know. And thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys watched all the way to the end, thank you guys so much. And we'll talk to you guys and share more stuff later. Thanks so much.